Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We have our first Cities in a Snap City Skylines speed build competition coming to you here today. I'm so excited to be bringing you this. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic event. We have two pretty well established City Skylines streamers here from Twitch who are going to be competing in this 60-minute speed build competition, in which they try to make a city that's both functional and beautiful at the same time. So I am super happy to be able to bring this to you here today. This competition is going to have a $50 prize pool going to the winner, so there is a little bit of money on the line for these guys. And yeah, I would like to just jump right into it. So first off, we do have our first competitor here. It is So Ever Dream.
Hello.
Hello, So Ever Dream. Welcome in, man. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Are you excited for this? Are you ready for this?
I'm super excited. I was just telling Chad, I'm like 80% there, and I think we've just bumped up to 95%.
Awesome. So you're 100% ready, set to go.
Yeah, we're good.
That is awesome, dude. That is awesome. Yeah, 6 weeks to prepare. I hope we got something. I know.
Look. Yeah. 6 weeks to prepare. It'll definitely show. I got this.
I'm sure, man. Well, happy to have you. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next streamer here. Musty UK. How you doing today, man?
Good evening, fella. Well, good morning, afternoon.
Whatever it is here. Awesome, dude.
Fantastic, thank you.
Awesome. Well, are you also excited for this event? Are you ready for this?
I'm super hyped. I'm ready. I've been going pretty much all day practicing this build, and I did practice it a few times in weeks prior as well. But I'm confident and I'm ready, and I'm pretty excited for it. I haven't seen anything like this of its kind be done in City Skylines, so I hope it's the first of many.
I hope so as well, man. I really do. I'm super excited to be able to put this on for you guys, and I hope we can put on something beautiful here for anybody out there watching. So appreciate you coming on for this.
No worries, my dude. I appreciate the reach out and the opportunity to do it. So
Of course. And like I told you guys before the stream, we are going to have my mods go over there and let you know exactly when to start. So you can just get yourself ready, get your city all set up, and we'll be with you shortly.
Excellent. Thank you very much, mate.
Of course. All right. Well, those are both of our competitors. So Ever Dream is from North Carolina, actually, and he is a customer service associate. I believe he works in a call center. So the guy's got a voice of gold, as you heard there. Truly an incredible streamer, too. I found both of these guys after weeks of searching through the Skylines stream channel. And there are a ton of people who play Skylines, but there are very few people that stream it and play it well. I found these two, Musty UK and So Ever Dream. They are just both fantastic builders. I wanted to give them the opportunity to come on and showcase their skills for you guys. Unfortunately, we did not end up with two judges here today. So we are only going to have one judge. And as a result, to avoid any sort of ties, we're going to have that just be Twitch chat today. You guys are going to be the deciding factor out there in who actually wins this $50. So prepare yourselves for that. Be ready. You're going to be able to watch both these streams live. You'll be able to see the multi-link, of course, in chat that Goldberg just posted. And of course, we'll have both streams being displayed on this stream as well so that we can talk with our judge here today, or our special guest, I guess I should call him at this point. We'll be bringing him on. He's a professional city planner, a former city project planner, and a former firefighter as well. So he's got a very diverse background. And let me go ahead and bring him on now here. We're having some technical issues with Discord, so have to go ahead and give him a ring. Apologize for that, but we will get him back on. And yeah, here we go. Are you with me?
I'm here.
Excellent. Well, Eddie is our city planner here today. He is our city expert. He's going to be talking us through these players' builds, talking about their design choices, whether they stylistically will fit in the sort of environment they're creating, and sort of be able to talk a little bit about zoning, public transport, things like that that typically go into what makes a city function properly. So we'll kind of be treating this session as a info panel, and if chat has any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll be here. So Eddie, once again, you said city project planner previously, and now a city planner.
So I'm currently a project planner. I work for the Project Planning Bureau with the City of Los Angeles. So
Okay.
I'm a planner who reviews entitlement cases and projects for conforming to zoning code, ordinances, and other policy documents.
All right, awesome. That sounds very technical.
It it is very technical. I mean, we get down to the level of review where we're looking at the parking space layout. We make sure that like bicycle parking is in the correct location.
Wow.
How companies project into like things like your side yard. So when you're looking at a lot, you actually have, if you want to imagine, invisible lines that sort of bound each side, and the distance that invisible line comes into your property is called a setback. And
a setback, you said?
A setback, yeah,
okay.
or a yard. And so, depending on the zone that you're in, those yards can be bigger or smaller to change the density of the massing of the buildings that are allowed to be built on those parcels.
Jeez. Man, that goes far, far deeper than I ever thought went into all this stuff. I can't wait to talk to you more about it. Stick around here.
Exciting.
I will be back to you in just a moment. But let's go ahead and take a look now. We've got both of our streamers should be about ready to kick off. Now, as you can see here, we got So Everdream on the left. He's got his area laid out. Musty UK on the right. Both these players are geared up and ready to start their builds. Mods, are you guys ready to go tell them to start? Need to go ahead and run that through Twitch chat. And Shilka Live, welcome in. Kiggy, everybody else out there, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's an odd hour for me to stream. Probably an odd hour for a lot of us to stream. So I got the timer all set up and ready. This is going to be a 60-minute speed build competition once again. And we're going to go ahead and kick that timer off in 3, 2, 1, and go. You guys go ahead and go let them know exactly how much time they got. The clock has started. And these guys are going to have their opportunity to start this speed build. You can see they're already diving right into it there. On the left, So Everdream. Now, he contacted me before this event to talk a little bit about what would be acceptable and what would not be an acceptable addition in an event like this. I went ahead and said that intersections and things like that can be generally tedious and kind of boring and time consuming. I wanted to be able to provide you guys with a lot of solid content when it came to these city buildings. So we've got them going out here. He did start out with that initial section, and looking at Everdream here, it looks like he chose a temperate map. I can't see any trees right now, so I don't know exactly what style he's going to be going with here. But I do like the look of that interchange that he started out with there. And right here, already, Musty UK kicking this off with a gigantic roundabout. Now, isn't that just such a standard thing for somebody from Europe to just immediately kick it off the roundabout? And he's got a ringed city, it looks like he's going with right off the bat here. I like where this is going. I'm going to go ahead and hop back in the call here with our special guest. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him back on. Eddie, are you checking these guys out right now?
Yeah. So interesting choice to go with the roundabout right off the bat. I mean, that's a very large city core that he's sort of building there.
It really is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he lays out the zoning in this sort of concentric ring system that he's building here.
Now, will roundabout systems that large typically work? Like, will this sort of thing work for proper traffic flow generally, or?
So there's been some sort of pipe dream planning ideas, sort of, like cities that are master planned. So an example would be Irvine, California. I don't know if people are familiar with, the headquarters of where Blizzard is, but they have, it was actually a master planned city. There was nothing out there before they built the University of California, Irvine. And if you look at the actual like satellite imagery, you'll actually see that there are these concentric rings. And so they tried to build it in this exact manner, have the university at the middle, and then everything else kind of, these districts would kind of come out away from it in a ring structure. But it ended up kind of a little bit more organic than that. It is difficult to sort of, roundabouts are great for traffic flow on the small scale, but on large scale, it can work, but it takes a lot of planning.
So why do you think they don't use roundabouts more frequently here in the United States?
Honestly, I think it was just a matter of, when roads were first being built and when we started designing cities, we had a lot of our growth with the motor vehicle, right? So a lot of our growth happened after the invention of the motor vehicle. And so we sort of had a different train of thought when it came to road design. We preferred the grid system. And the European cities also were working with a lot smaller space. There's several of them that, they had to sort of retrofit to allow cars to work. Because the cities were designed, pedestrian oriented.
Hundreds of years before, yeah.
Exactly, hundreds of years ago, exactly. So, it's really just came down to stylistic differences between the various municipal planners, really, and then it just kind of stuck. I mean, there are roundabouts, obviously, in the United States as well now, but you don't see them as often, yeah.
So why is it that roundabouts are so generally hated? I'm pretty much everybody I talk to hates roundabouts. And in my personal experience, generally they can be confusing, or I don't know, like there's just something about them that doesn't feel quite as natural flowing as a standard stoplight. And I've learned through playing City Skylines that a properly built roundabout will handle traffic better on the small scale. Is that accurate for real life as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think the one of the big sort of hurdles to using roundabouts is that people just aren't used to seeing them. So it is confusing to them, right? So they don't understand, how to merge in, how to exit, and so what they end up doing is we just continue the grid system. But traffic flow into a roundabout is actually much better because you don't have this hard stop, right? There's no stop and go from each side. It's just a continuously flowing ring. So on the small scale, yeah, they work fantastically, and it'd be nice to see, more of them implemented. I was just looking. It looks like Everdream is going straight for. Is that a rail line that he's putting in?
Yeah, he's actually building a monorail line there. It looks that going to go around the outer edge of his city here. It looks like he's going with a bit bigger design. Now, I know I've talked to some other City Skylines players about this event, and a lot of them had discussed the idea of just doing like a smaller area that was more detailed. I think both these players sort of decided to go for a bit more grandiose design for, most likely showmanship purposes. But what are you thinking so far? What are your thoughts on this layout?
So I do like that he's essentially implementing transit right off the bat. So one of the big pushes in urban planning over the last decade has been what's sort of been referred to as new urbanization. And if this idea of shifting away from having massive suburbs back to having these much denser sort of urban oriented cities. And especially here in LA, between 1960 and 1991, they downzoned 6 million housing unit capacity. So essentially, if you imagine, if you have dense zoning, you can plan for the number of housing units that can be allowed to be built.
Okay.
They eliminated 6 million potential housing units over a 30-year span.
Isn't that bad for an area as densely populated as LA?
It is. So one of the issues that we're facing, especially as a planning department, shortage. We just don't have enough housing for the population that we have, and so we've over the last 5 years have implemented several plans that are working to sort of help create more housing. And so one of them is called transit-oriented communities, and it's a program where developers are allowed to build at much higher densities, much higher heights. They can have reduced open space and setback requirements. So they can put a lot more units on the same parcel, but they have to provide a certain percentage of it for affordable housing. And so
I see.
It's a way for us to get both more housing units and more affordable housing units, which are limited to certain income brackets. And so it's a pretty good system. And the reason we allow them to do it on certain parcels is because of their relationship to and distance to transit stops. And so that the idea is that people would not need to have a vehicle to live in that building.
I see. Now, I was listening actually yesterday to NPR, and they were having a topic about this exact topic in California. So it's funny that you bring that up because I just happened to hear a little bit about this yesterday. One of the counter arguments to a transit-oriented society is that some of the not the proponents, the opposition to this idea feel that even though it's designed as a solution to people who are lower income, who can't necessarily afford transit costs, the counter argument it is that even though these housing developments will be created in a way that will allow for lower income housing to be built and for more housing to be available, it still potentially could create financial burden and difficulty on those who are either not from the area or those who are financially incapable of participating in the public transit system. Is that a big issue in Los Angeles specifically? Do you have a lot of people who aren't not eligible, but aren't capable of riding public transit who may be affected by a system like that?
So the public transit system here, they have programs available for people that are in those brackets, and so those brackets are actually defined in the California Health and Safety Code. So the state actually has definitions for these income brackets, and if you meet those definitions, you also qualify for subsidies for transit. And so
okay.
And a lot of businesses here in LA also support using public transit by subsidizing their employees' transit passes as well. And then, of course, like students, I believe they ride at a much reduced rate. So school kids going to school can use the transit system. So they've done a lot to encourage ridership. And they're actually, as part of what's called our Mobility Plan 2028 or 2035, which was partially designed around the fact that the Olympics are coming back here in 2028. They're massively expanding the public transit here now. So they're building a lot more rail lines. They're renovating the Blue Line, which was the very first one they ever put in. And so they're actually building a new subterranean train going through the heart of downtown that links the train that goes from Santa Monica to downtown to the train that goes all the way out to Azusa, which is in far east, like out towards Riverside County. And so what it's going to do is allow you to basically get on one train and go all the way from the coast at Santa Monica all the way to the deep inland part just on one train. So
well, that'll definitely be good. It sounds like.
Yeah, we're definitely working pretty hard to create a lot more transit-oriented opportunity in the LA basin for sure. They're increasing bus routes in the valley. There's plans to build a train into the valley as well, which is, for those who aren't familiar, is the San Fernando Valley, which is actually on the other side of the mountains from where downtown LA is, but it's actually in the city of LA. So the city of LA actually goes pretty far north, and it's kind of a strange shape. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but
I'm not, no.
So the bulk of the landmass that makes up the city is actually in the San Fernando Valley. Then you kind of have this downtown core. You have an unincorporated area, what's called East LA, which is just adjacent to downtown. And then going south, you have a pretty good portion. But then all of a sudden it drops down to this like little shoestring. You have this shoestring that kind of goes down all the way to the port where San Pedro is. And so that's actually also the city of Los Angeles. So they incorporated this land in the shoestring in order to get down there, basically.
I see.
So the cities of Beverly Hills. So Beverly Hills is its own city.
Mm-hmm.
They're surrounded by the city of LA. The same thing with West Hollywood, which is actually another unincorporated area of LA County. They never became part of the city. But one of the reasons why LA's sort of city limits and shape looks so weird is that the primary driver for land acquisition was water rights. So the city of LA had their own water supply, and so what they did, they allowed other communities to join in on that water supply, but they had to become part of the city of Los Angeles. And so that's how they acquired the majority of their land area, is through these water right acts, water right agreements.
That's interesting.
All over time, yeah. LA is a very interesting city. It's a very diverse city. There's a lot of different of course, cultural groups, ethnicities. I mean, just
Oh, of course.
I do city planning for what's called the Wilshire Community Plan Area. So our city is broken up into 5 different sort of communities you can imagine.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many communities?
35.
35. Okay.
Yeah, and each one has its own what you would call comprehensive plan, or out here in California they call them general plans or community plans. And so we have one overarching plan for the whole city, but then it gets much more detailed on these individual community plans. And so so the project planners work in these distinct sort of areas. And so mine includes things like Koreatown, I don't know, the farmers market, Beverly Center, Cedar Sinai. So all these things are in my planning area. And so I have areas of high density. I also have some of those historic homes in LA. We have these big family home districts that are historic. So we've kind of got a little mix of everything. So it's a pretty interesting area to work.
Now, what's the most challenging or unique story you can tell us from city planning? Because like just for example, I know my mom actually was the head of the historic commission here in Independence, Oregon. She would have people who would come in who have like renovated homes that weren't, that were historic and things like that. Or people applying for permits for things that were completely different from what they were applying for, or doing projects that were completely different than what they applied for. Do you have any unique stories like that, of any incidents? Like, I don't know if you deal with any of that sort of stuff.
So we do. So part of what we do in city planning is we also do historic preservation. So we actually have another group called the Office of Historic Resources. They are a mix of planners and architects that are sort of well versed in historical structures, and they work to preserve them and maintain these properties that had a representative of an impact in the city. And so San Francisco a couple of years ago actually had somebody. So what developers do is they'll apply for demolition permit, and as part of that, we have a system in place where you can't demo something if it's going to be part of a larger sort of development project, because there's something called CEQA, which is unique to California. It's the California Environmental Quality Act, 1971, and what it does is requires us to take into consideration all of these different sort of environmental impact factors when we're approving development projects. And so part of that is historical resources, and so and the demolition. So these things, play into that. You can demo anything you want. I mean, you can demo something that would be considered historic, as long as you're not going to then turn around and try to do something else.
I see.
So you at first, and so the developers will try all different ways to get around this. So a developer tore down a historic structure that the city wanted to preserve, and then tried to immediately turn around and build this much larger development. And so the city actually put what's called a Q condition, which is a qualified condition on that parcel that said that the only development project allowed on the parcel was to essentially rebuild the exact structure that had been there before. Even if the developer sold the property, it's permanently attached to the zoning at that point. So it became part of the zoning of that lot.
I see. Yeah. I see.
So there's definitely some interesting stuff like that. And actually, so here now, we already have an ordinance in place. It's called the Scorched Earth Ordinance. And
that sounds intense.
It is. So it's basically the same thing, except that what happens is we basically qualify the parcel for 5 years. You can't do anything with it for 5 years. If you basically, try to go around our back to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. So developers are pretty good about not doing that now.
Yeah.
When you buy something, I mean, property out here is very expensive, and if you purchase a lot and you can't do anything with it for 5 years, I mean, it's basically useless. So you're sitting on a lot of money you're burning at that point.
Right,
and that came about because somebody tried to burn down a historic structure, then claim that it wasn't historic anymore because there was no integrity.
A city like Los Angeles has got to have every realm of everything that could go wrong. I mean, just the number of people living there, like every situation has to have arisen at some point in Los Angeles.
I mean, pretty close too. Yeah. I mean, then the other thing too is we have a set of geography. I mean, if you think about it, we not only do we have big, flat, open suburban areas. We have highly dense, urban cores, and then we also have all these hillside areas here. We have the Santa Monica Mountains run right through the middle of LA, and so we have to build a lot of homes out there. And so we have all these unique geography features and hazards. I mean, one of them being wildfires, of course. That's something that we deal with quite a bit out here in California, earthquakes, and so these also play into the zoning. So we have zoning regulations that are, our zoning code is crazy complex.
Oh, I bet. I mean, just the number of things.
Yeah, my copy of it is like a tome that's like 1,000 pages long, and that's just the planning and zoning section of the municipal code.
That's intense. That is intense. So how long does it take you to like approve a project?
It depends on the type of project. If someone's just applying for like what's called a conditional use beverage permit, which would be alcohol sales, those can be done probably, those can be like a month or two, depending on how complicated it is.
A month? Like, is that a short amount of time? Is that a long? Because that feels
that's a very short amount of time.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I have other projects that they take. I have some from 2016 still that I'm working on. So depending on the complexity of the project, how many design changes you've had to make, there's all these factors that go into what happens with the project. So some of them have to go through several revisions, and it takes the designers and architects amount of time to make those design changes. And so we just basically kind of wait around until they bring the plans back. At any given time, I'm working on about 40 different entitlement projects. And so
wow,
as we're waiting for people to bring back updated materials or do certain things, we just kind of work on other things. So we're kind of simultaneously working on a lot of different projects. But
I see.
Yeah, some of them can take quite a while. Some of them can be pretty short. The longest thing would be what's called an environmental impact report, which is basically it's a SQL review, but it's the most how's the best way to phrase it? It's sort of the one that you have to do that basically you have to do everything. You have to hire all these consultants. You have to have reports prepared for everything from traffic to noise to light and shade to like landscaping to biological factors to wildfires, energy use, all these things that you have to take into consideration. It can take about 3 years and about $100,000 to do.
Wow.
For really big projects have to do that. Yeah. So it can be quite a task.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
So taking a look at Everdream City right here, how are you feeling about the design? It looks like he's laying the offices and commercial area out in a central location to the rest of the city. It looks like he encapsulated the concept of a sort of suburb area down there at the bottom. I really like how he's sort of capturing all the different aspects of a city. How do you feel that he's doing in that regard?
So he's we definitely, you see a lot of commercial districts sort of, what we call central business, kind of in the middle of cities. And so he's actually following sort of an older paradigm in planning where, this is a much more suburban type of planning layout. So ideally, and unfortunately, City Skylines doesn't have this yet. Mixed use is something that we try to encourage more of now.
Oh yeah, there's mods you can use to do that. Is that a big thing in city planning? You're saying?
It is, yeah. So we much prefer mixed use because one of the things that we're trying to do is make developments much more pedestrian oriented.
I see.
And so the idea is you don't want blank walls where people are walking, right? You want storefronts. You want engagement with the project, and so. That's part of the new urbanization is this idea of mixed use and allowing people to sort of move around without having to rely on a vehicle. So the way he's laid out his city is much more car centric. He does have the monorail link around the outside, and hopefully he'll put in some bus lanes and things like that. But just having your commercials in the center and then your sort of residential is out. Well, actually, no, it looks like he's actually putting residential in the middle. So it's
got some high density downtown sort of there, and then it looks like he's building a few more commercial centers out towards the edges of the city. So is it a good idea to break up your commercial centers like this to sort of manage traffic or for other purposes?
It's a combination of that. So one of the factors that people need to consider when you're looking at housing is it's not just the housing itself. You have to have support services and community services available in your region. Otherwise, you end up having to travel much further away, and it makes your quality of life is decreased at that point, right? So you like to see a lot of residential with this sort of interspersed commercial centers, and so we actually have a zoning overlay that we can use. So there's two different types of zoning. There's the actual like municipal code zone, like for us, like for a single family detached zone would be an R1 zone, residential 1. It would also have another number attached to it, which is called the height district, which regulates what's called floor area ratio, as well as the height of the building. And so floor area ratio is actually a concept that not a lot of people know about. And what it is, it's the ratio of the total floor area of the building compared to the buildable area of the lot. So the buildable area is the lot size minus those setbacks we talked about earlier. And so what that allows you to do is regulate how big the building can be based on the ratio. So most residential, like multifamily residential, is like a 3-to-1. So you can have, so let's say you have 1,000 square feet of buildable area. You could have 3,000 square feet of total floor area in your building. Whether you want that to be just one store, like 3 stories directly on top of each other, or you could do 500 square feet times 6, right? So you could just have a 6-story structure, but it's only 500 square feet per floor. So it basically regulates massing of structures, and we call that height district. So you would see things like R4-1, and that -1 is height district 1. So there's all these little like minutia, but that's in the municipal code. Then we have what's called general land use planning, and that's based on the community plan. And so that's where we have gone to stakeholder meetings and taken citizen input, and we've built this map of sort of more meta zone, macro levels, that says we want community commercial regional centers here. And so if you look at those maps, you'll see commercial centers that are just sort of in the middle of these residential areas. And the idea is that way people don't have to travel very far to go and get things like groceries, restaurants, things like the barber shop, stuff like this. You want those to be mixed in with your residential. You don't want them too far apart from each other.
I see.
So that, which is good to see.
What would you expect to see the zoning look like for Musty's city at this point? Taking a look at how he's got it laid out.
So I'm curious to see if he's going to do like a layer cake, like a ring of residential, a ring of commercial, a ring of industrial, and then it just kind of like, layers out that way, or if he's going to actually mix them together, sort of coming down these sort of, arcs as he comes out. It'd be interesting to see how he decides he wants to do that. It's an interesting layout for sure. It's not something that you, it's probably not something that you see in real life.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I've noticed that.
You might see it in somebody who's building a master.
Somebody's building a master what?
Master plan city.
Oh, okay. What was that? Is that like a specific kind?
It is. So it's basically where planners get to design the city before.
Like Utah. Wasn't Utah a city like that? Utah. Oh my God. Salt Lake City.
Yeah, Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of these newer cities, examples, planning and laying it out. I mean, like Los Angeles, a lot of it was built before they ever had planners, right? I mean, the city's 300 years old. It was a pueblo originally.
Right,
right. So you had to kind of work with what you had. Same with New York City, Detroit. I mean, all these big cities that have existed for a long time. But younger cities are much more master planned. And so they get to sort of design it from the ground up. And so you would see stuff like this done in real life when urban planners basically get free reign to kind of do what we want.
Yeah, it's got to have some benefits because I mean, cities like Portland, Oregon, for example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the city, but that city is just one of the worst traffic cities. I think it's one of the worst traffic cities in the country. And I hope I'm not just saying that like, because it's everybody says that. I think it actually is or was one of the worst traffic cities in the country at one point. And so many of the major roads there, like one lane, barely paved, like runs through downtown. There's one part in Portland specifically where a gravel road comes down off the side of this hill and goes onto the freeway, like an on-ramp. And I ended up on that on accident because I was following signs to the freeway, and it took me into a neighborhood and then down a dirt road, and then the dirt road just ran into the freeway. And I was like, I have never seen anything like that before in my life. Everything has on ramps. Like, it didn't have a sign. It just like came between two concrete Jersey barriers onto the freeway. So
that's very strange.
It was very strange. It was very strange. And
you
Portland
won't see that here.
God, I hope not. I hope you don't see that anywhere else in the world, because that is one of the maybe Argentina. I feel like Argentina or Peru or something like that.
Well, I mean, if you have an area where you have low density highways because you just built a lot of that.
Yeah.
You should really have a much more organized traffic system. But here's an interesting fact. The city of Houston, which is a very large city,
Mhm.
they don't have any codes.
They don't have any building codes, you said?
They have building codes, but they don't have zoning codes.
Zoning codes.
They don't have any land use regulation. Basically, they've done it all through ordinances and like special overlay zone things. It's a very strange place to be a planner in Houston.
That's interesting. How
Regulate.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you basically get to you can't regulate what people are building.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling that.
Which
So
shouldn't have.
Texas specifically is more of a right-leaning state. So I would imagine they'd have policies that are more conservative than
Well,
a
it
city
depends
like
on the-
Los
depends on the
Angeles.
city. Yeah, well, for zoning, you don't really see too much politics come into zoning per se.
Okay.
But what you will see a lot of in Texas is you'll see a much more sort of car-centric design. Everything especially in like I'm from the DFW Metroplex, so Dallas Fort Worth.
Mhm.
Everything is all designed around highways and driving. There's a city there called Arlington, Texas, which is actually where the Cowboys play and where the Texas Rangers Stadium is and all these things. It's the largest city in the U.S. that doesn't have public transit.
Really?
And
Arlington does not have public
it-
transit?
It does not have public transit.
Wow.
They specifically actually opted out of several of public transit systems.
Interesting. Why is that?
They wanted it to remain, single family detached area. So their zoning code, I want to say 90% of their land is zoned for single family detached only.
I see.
There's actually a New York Times article a few days ago where they were talking about this. So the city of LA, we actually have 75% single family detached zoning, which is part of that down zoning that I was talking about earlier. That's why we have so much of it. New York City only has 15% zoned for single family detached.
I see.
It makes it where we have this sort of mismatch between the zoning and our housing. So we're trying to increase that density. So we're trying to get upzoning. That's what we're currently working on in terms of housing.
That's amazing, man. Well, I hate to cut you off there. We're going to go ahead.
No worries. We'll take a quick break.
Yep, we're going to take a break and give everybody an opportunity to go watch these guys finish up their builds. We're going to be gone here for about 20 minutes, and then we will be back. Whoops, there we go. I'm still trying to get the hang of all this. Let's go. I got all these scenes. Yeah, we are going to pull up your menu. My menu on Discord. We're just going to get rid of that. That was an accident. I'm not sure which menu you're talking about. Yeah, Portland is not a good city. But I appreciate you guys all being here today. Thank you so much for watching. What we're going to do from here, we're going to take about a 20-minute break, give you guys an opportunity to go check these streamers out. I'm going to keep their streams rolling on our stream. We'll have some music going here. Feel free to keep watching here or hit !multi. Go check out their streams individually. Show them some support. The whole purpose of this event was not only to provide some information on city planning from a real world perspective, but also to show some love to some other streamers. Let's be real. So go give them some love, guys. We'll be back here in about 20 minutes, and I will see you shortly. All right, everybody, we are back. We are back and we are live. Hopefully you all got a chance to go check out these fine streamers' streams. They're two absolutely fantastic gentlemen who I recently had the pleasure of meeting. And honestly, I think what they're creating here today is just absolutely great. Mira, hello, thank you. Thank you. Goldberg, hello. I haven't gotten a chance to say hi to pretty much anybody out there so far this stream, but again, I really do appreciate you guys all coming out and hanging out regardless. This is my first time creating an event like this, hosting an event like this, producing an event like this. I hope you guys have all enjoyed it so far. And it's really the first of its kind. I mean, I can't I can't think of any other competition that's been done quite this way. I mean, with such a peaceful, calm game being done in a competitive manner. I really do like it. I think it combines so many different aspects that hopefully everybody can find enjoyable. So taking a look at their builds, like I was talking to Eddie about before, who is also known as Nerve Gas here in chat, just so if anybody was curious. I think everybody's got that by now. But like he was saying, Musty went with more of a Eurocentric design. The ring cities, he's got lots of little roundabouts around here. And it looked like some pretty solid commercial areas set up around the outer ring of this city. As this clock's ticking down, they got 6 minutes left on their build here. So they are running down to the wire. And taking a look, Everdream, you can see his face there. This guy is 100% focused on this right now. He is diving deep into this city. He's trying to get the land value up across the city. And he's got a lot of abandoned buildings right now in the downtown area. And I'm not sure what's causing that. Perhaps it was low land value earlier on that might create some problems for his end product here. Hopefully those houses are able to regrow beforehand, because we will be rating the city based off its final product. Of course, we are going to have Nerve Gas, Eddie. He is going to be providing his expert opinion on what he thinks of these cities, giving us some feedback on each of them. After this point, we're also going to meet with each one of the streamers after they finish their build so that they can talk us through what their thought process was on this design and sort of what their overall goal was for their theme. So after we get that done, we will kick it over to Twitch chat. You guys are going to be the final say on this. Remember, you can hit !vote, either Musty or Ever in chat once we kick off the voting portion of this. So stay tuned for that. You're going to want to keep chat open for that specifically. But as we come down to the wire here, I talked to So Everdream about this just before the event started. And he said he was going to focus a lot on parks. And I've noticed he's done that quite extensively. A lot of his city seems to be focused around land value. And he's trying to make it a very classy neighborhood. At least that's what I can say about it. Nerve Gas, of course, being the resident expert, he would definitely be the one to be able to describe a little bit better what's going on here. However, just my personal opinion, it looks like he's having some issues with the zoning here. So he's probably going to be stretching that out. Taking a look over at Musty's build. Now, Musty, he built something that you wouldn't typically see in real life, I think. And I do like his attention to detail here. He's creating a barrier from the inner ring. You got to imagine like any kids wandering around out there. You don't want them just falling into the city. No single family zoning. Yeah, you're right. Entirely high density residential. You are correct about that. That would be rather unrealistic for an actual city. And I'm not sure what his public transit looks like. We'll talk to him a little bit about that, of course, once we get to that point. But the clock is definitely running out on these guys. And they're trying to get these final touches on here. Putting the details on, putting the trees down. A city arch. I like that. It's a nice little touch as you enter the city. Something beautiful to look at. Create a little bit of a tourist attraction there. And going with the bridges straight across, I like the bridge choices as well. He's got plenty of avenues for pedestrians to walk across, but I'd be a little bit concerned about only having 4 points of entry into the inner ring of this city. Now you got to imagine it, with all the commercial and everything on the inside there, chances are it's going to be a lot heavier traffic flow, and actually only 3 roads into the inner portion of that city. So traffic congestion might be a bit of an issue here for Musty. I don't know. We'll see what Eddie has to say about that afterwards. But taking a look back at Everdream, he's still working on this park over here, getting the final touches down. I like that he's going through the effort to put actual dirt down. You know, that's one of those details that you can add in Skylines that really brings out your city. Just small little touches like that. A few trees, gravel patches, a bush here and there. It's really incredible what you can make in just a short amount of time. And that was kind of the goal of this competition too, because I know there's a lot of people out there who play Skylines who feel trapped within the grid system. You know, you get stuck into those boxy designs. You don't really like it. You're like, God, it's not what I pictured. It's not exactly what I imagined. This is to show you that there are so many easy ways in which you can improve your city design and get an expert's opinion on it here today too. So that's going to be great. It is going to be great. Quan, you're biased, huh? Interstate 94, thank you so much for that follow. Again, Osazu, thank you for the 15 bits. Cowboy, thank you for the resub, man. Quan, thank you for the resub. Miss Compound Killer, thank you for the follow as well. I appreciate all the support you guys are showing here today. Definitely make sure you go drop a follow on these guys too. If you want to support their work, part of the deal here was today, I wanted to be able to promote some great streamers that I'd found out there and sort of give them an opportunity to showcase their skills in front of a broader audience. So this is as much for them as it was anybody else. And I hope you guys enjoyed them. I hope you guys enjoyed the show with them. Coming down to the wire here, though. Only 32 seconds left. And Ever with the final bushes. Let's take one more look over at Musty. Musty, searching over his city, looking what last little touches he's going to add here. It looks like he's having some problems with the center ring of the city. He might not actually have roads built to that tower in the middle of his ring. And it might be a little bit too late here. Now, of course, we could probably assume from an unrealistic perspective that people could just walk there. But as this clock runs out, 1 second, time is up for these folks. If the mods can please go get them stopped. We are going to go ahead and end this. Time is up. Time is up. And that's it. Hands are up on them. Everybody done. The final touches. It's going to come down to this. So I'm going to go ahead and hop in a call here with... Let's go ahead and start with Ever. Let's go ahead and start with Ever here. So one moment.
I'm not.
All right, Ever. Hello. Hello, man.
Hello.
So, how was it, dude?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love what you built here.
Thank you. As I turn it off. Yikes. Thanks, dude. It's a lot of love and pride.
Yeah, man. I like the low density residential section over there. I saw that you put in a ton of parks. That was exactly what you were telling me you were going to do. So what was your idea? What was the theme for this city? Like, what would you have in mind when you created this?
So the idea was kind of like the New York City style in the middle, where the buildings, kind of like a Central Park idea in the middle, where there's not a whole lot going on in the middle, just that park and then the trees. Mm-hmm. So like, I know that I wanted really, like high density smack in the middle of there, and then like the residential to kind of sprawl out from there. And then the further away we got from the city center, I wanted to be low density, because that's usually how it works. And then just to have those 3 kind of key spots, like the pond, the mall, and then that park in the middle. So I know that those were things that needed to get done. Awesome. And yeah, and I noticed the first thing you put down was that tram tracker on the outside. I thought that was a brilliant idea. I loved how that encapsulated the center portions of the city. Did you put any other public transport in, or was it just the one line? So it was just the one line for the monorails. They just loop around the whole thing. And then we have buses that will stop off at the neighborhoods and then also stop off at the monorails. So that way people can get on the buses and go to each section of the city.
Absolutely awesome, man. Well, cool. I am glad you're feeling confident about this. I'm going to go ahead and cut over to Musty, and I'll be back with you guys here in a moment.
All right.
And Musty, hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that looked like fun, dude. I was watching both of your streams going. Did you get a chance to see what Ever was doing?
I didn't look at all.
So you have no idea.
No, this is a pretty This is a pretty timed build. You know what I mean? I've got every second eked out here.
That's good. That's good. You want to keep your eye on the ball. You don't want to get distracted or anything like that. Well, honestly, dude, I think you did a fantastic job. I really like the design of your city here. Talk us through it. What did you have in mind when you were creating this city?
First off and foremost, when I was first trying to rack my brains and think of a few different things, I'm pretty new to streaming, so like as soon as I got into this competition, I wanted to sort of like give a little thanks back, because City Skyline is like an amazing game which taps into some like creative resources that, you know, are deep down. But the problem is the base game on its own is, you know, it's not much of a game. It's the content creators and the guys out there making the mods and the creativity happen. You know, it's thanks to them. And so my build was, first and foremost, I wanted to showcase like quite how much you could do in an hour with the tools to hand. You would have seen me use extensively roundabout builder, move it, precision engineering, prop line tool, stuff like that. I wanted to kind of show off that how easy these guys have made it for us to really create something that looks really, really nice in a really short space of time. These guys make our life easy. So it was a bit of a homage, shall we say, to the content creators of the City Skyline world.
I love it, man.
Is such a fantastic community. And the guys that build this stuff, they're so driven to continue to improve and give us bigger and better toys to play with. So I really are something. Yeah, I wanted to build something where I could really sort of show off the tools at hand.
That's fantastic.
Work in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the asset choices you used here. I see what you were talking about. Before we went live, I know I'd mentioned that you could do the terraforming and stuff beforehand, and you're like, no, I can do all this on stream in an hour. Watch me. And you did. You did. I had no idea you were going to do so much. Like when you started cutting those rings out, I was like, oh man, we're in for something special here. But as our city planner brought up, he said it was a very Eurocentric build with the roundabouts and everything like that. Did you have a certain country in mind, or a certain theme or design when you approached this, or did you sort of go with your own futuristic idea of what a city could look like?
Yeah, I kind of went with the futuristic utopia was what I was shooting for.
Okay.
At the same time, I used circles because when I stream, I'm an Englishman. I use roundabouts a lot, and it was kind of a little bit of a play on that. You know, you always make fun of me for making all these roundabouts. Screw you guys! I'm going to make a whole roundabout city.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit too, about how roundabouts were pretty functional for smaller zones. I noticed you had a ton of high density residential. I appreciate your feedback on the city, man. Are you feeling confident? Do you think you got this?
I would like to think so. I haven't seen whatever's done. But this took me a lot of time to squeeze this amount of work into an hour. It took a lot of practice to knock this out in an hour. And like when you said, like you said, when I said to you, no, I'm doing the terraforming and the cutting on stream because this is what I practice, and I'm damn sure gonna show it off now. So.
For sure. Well, you did a great job, man. And I appreciate you coming out for this event too. Good luck to you. I'm going to go ahead and cut over to our judge now. So I will be back with you guys here in a moment.
No worries, fella.
All right. And let's go ahead and get our judge on the line here, Eddie. We're going to go ahead and bring him back on. Just one moment here. There we go. And
Hello.
hello, sir. Hello. All right. Whoops. Oh, the capture's all messed up. Well, that's fantastic. Let's go like this, and then go like this, and then go like this, and we'll fix this up real quick. But anyway, while we're doing that, so what do you think? What are your final thoughts on these city builds? You know, taking a look first at So Everdream, how do you feel that he did in encapsulating the type of city that he was going for here?
So I definitely think he met the goal that he was going for, which was, to have all these large open spaces, to have these really well-designed parks, things like that. I know he was going. So Ever kind of went towards sort of the more traditional style of planning, which is to have these highly dense urban cores, and then you have lower density as you kind of go out as like, imagine like the layers of a cake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the that's the sort of old paradigm, right? And like you said, that's what you see a lot in real life, because that's the way that for the last 100 years, that's how we've designed our cities. Musty, though, he went for more of what I would consider sort of the new paradigm in planning, which is to have, you want the highest density you can support in a given amount of land, because it's the best use for that parcel, right? So that way you don't have to utilize large swaths of open land to have all this single family detached zoning. Part of that is because traffic that it generates when you have to travel from these, very low density outer, sort of fringe cities, that generates a lot of pollution. That's one of the problems that we're facing here in Los Angeles and have for a long time, is that because we designed everything around the vehicle, we ended up with a lot more pollution than we would have had otherwise.
Right. And I know smog is a huge issue there. So
It is.
what do you think the major negative is of So Everdream city build? Like, what do you feel the biggest drawback is there?
I would have liked to see him eliminate the single family zoning, just because, like I said, that's sort of the old paradigm in planning. But the rest of it, I think that he integrate the idea of public transit, where he has the train system sort of providing the long distance route around the entire city, and then utilizing smaller scale transit, so buses, for instance, to sort of break up the quadrants, is definitely something that we would do in real life. One of the things we have is called the first mile, last mile problem. And the idea is that you have these major transit systems with trains, but then you have to get from that train to wherever you work or live outside of that narrow path that it takes. And so that's why you've had this especially out here in California, we now have all of these electric scooters and bikes that you can rent. There's all of these things that people are utilizing to sort of overcome that last mile, first mile, last mile problem. So it was good to see that. And I like, both of them did that. They separated their industrial away from their residential and commercial.
Mhm.
A lot of these you'll see, industrial areas that were traditional that are kind of been surrounded by residential and commercial. In fact, one of the things that we're doing here in LA is we actually have redevelopment overlay zones that incentivize developers to repurpose industrial areas into residential and commercial mixed use districts.
Interesting.
Utilize that. Yeah, we had one that was they built 1,200 apartments in this old warehouse.
Wow.
This sort of for artists. It's like these studios, and it has ground floor commercial, so you have restaurants and cafes and things on the ground floor. So it has a lot of really good pedestrian access and sort of oriented around the idea of pedestrian oriented.
I see. So
in
yeah,
the city of LA, we have something called the citywide design guidelines,
Mhm.
and there's 3 big topics that we look for, called climate adapted design, meaning utilizing green building techniques, 360-degree design, which means putting the same level of attention and detail that you do on the front of a building to all sides of the building, right? Not just activate one side, but activate all sides. And then we also have what's called Pedestrian First, which means that you want to orient your development around the pedestrian, not around the vehicle. So those are 3.
So we definitely encapsulated that in one of these cities, it looks like. So who would be your final pick then? If it was up to you here, who would you say did the best city?
I think I'm going to give it to Musty, just because I like the way that he, oriented his high density residential, right? Everything is he's utilizing the space well for his population size, but then providing these big open spaces that are green, and his, it feels more akin to like what we'd like to see, built in the future. Maybe
That's awesome.
Maybe not the ring world design, probably more grid like, but still utilizing those same paradigms.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, you folks out there heard it. I'm going to go ahead and take it over to voting. So thank you so much. I'll be back with you here in just a few minutes, Eddie.
No worries.
All right. And yeah, you guys heard it. He said he was going to give it over to Musty, but ultimately, it is your guys' choice. You guys are the ones who get to vote on this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the poll in chat. You will see the option there. Who built the best city here today? Who is going to walk away with the $50 prize? We have 5 minutes of voting we're going to open up here. You can either vote for Ever, our own North American champion, or vote for Musty. You can go ahead and pop over to their stream, Sage, if you want to ask them any questions like that before you get your votes in. But again, thank you all so much for getting in on this event. I'm seeing a ton of new names here that I had no idea were here. You guys are fantastic. I hope you've really enjoyed this show today. And we're going to go ahead and kick it over 5 minutes, guys. We're going to put 5 minutes on the clock here and give you guys a chance to vote. So get your votes in, and we'll be back here in just a moment. Okay, folks. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. I went ahead and fronted the prize pool money for this. I was going to look for a sponsor for this event, but honestly, I just wanted to make it happen. I didn't want to worry about it. I just didn't want it. So we're going to go ahead and close voting here. Last chance. If you've not gotten your vote in, I will give it 30 more seconds tops, just so you can hear me here. You have to get your vote in. This is your chance. Really quickly. This is the moment. Who is actually going to win it here? Will it be Musty? Will it be So Ever Dream? We're going to go ahead and close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we go. The vote is officially in. For those out there waiting in suspense, waiting to see who's actually taking this one down, our $50 prize pool here today, we have 35 total votes on this, with 51.43% going over to the winner and 48.57% going to the loser. This is practically a split vote, but with 18 to 17, Musty is going to be our winner here today. Musty taking this one down with his Ring City. He is going to be our champion of the first Cities in a Snap City Skylines speed build competition. You folks over there, definitely go over, congratulate this man. Let him know that he won. Give him some love. You guys have been absolutely fantastic here today. I am so happy to have brought this to you. Let me go ahead and hop in a call with Musty, and we will let him know personally. And Musty.
10 times in a row.
Hello, sir.
Hello, my friend.
Hello. Congratulations.
Thank
it
you
looks
very
like
much.
Twitch chat edged you out. 18 to 17. You came out on top, man. By one vote.
Holy shit.
That was a tight
You know what?
race.
That last fight, sorry, my sub notification's going bonkers because someone just dumped a sub bomb in the chat.
Oh man,
But,
they want to blow this city up after you're done with it today. I think that's what it is, man.
That's what's gonna happen indeed. But that last few minutes while the voting was happening, I was sat here getting like more and more anxious, thinking, shit, have I done enough?
I know, you're sitting there looking at it, you're like, God, should I have done, like, did I not? Did it?
Yeah.
Man, the nerves come up, but hey man, in the end, your Ring City closed it out here just by the thinnest margin. And you're
vote.
winning the prizes here today. $50 going over to you, man. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It was a blast.
Of course, man. I'm happy to have had you on for this first event, too. I'm watching this sub bump go off on your stream right now, man. This thing is nonstop. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. I'm glad it came out to be a great stream for you. And I will talk to you more here after we wrap this event up.
Yeah, no worries. This was fantastic. It was good fun.
It was absolutely. Thank you again for coming, man.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
All right. So you guys heard it right there. In the end, it came down to just these few stream. Man, I don't have a good scene for this. I did not come prepared today. Let's go. Oh man, we are just SOL. Let's go here. Here we are. Here's a scene for this. You want your ad read? Dude, thank you so much for the 2,000 bits, Abusive Milk. Man, you got your 100-bit badge. You beast. Competition brought to you by Michael Vick's Memorial Dog Park. Yes, we can never forget Michael Vick's Memorial Dog Park. We did have that on our stream. You got it read, man. You got it read. It's going on YouTube. Everybody's going to hear this forever now. You made me say it. Everybody else who came out just for this event, though, Xmas Pony, Little Kaz, like literally all y'all came over from Musty's community, from Everdream's community. You guys have been absolutely fantastic today. I really hope you enjoyed this event. I want to be able to put more of these on for you guys in the future. So if you enjoyed this, definitely subscribe to YouTube so that I know people give a crap. Yeah, drop a follow here on Twitch. Let me know. Join the Discord. And again, you know, I really wanted to give these guys a shout out. They worked really hard on these builds. They spent a lot of time planning this stuff out. We gave them 6 weeks to prepare for this, and you saw what they can do in a very short amount of time. I want to thank Eddie as well for coming on. Getting the opportunity to talk to a professional city planner was an absolutely a great opportunity. I'm hoping here in the future I can actually have him on for a podcast where we can go for like 2 hours about urban design and other features of city development that we may not be aware of. Maybe that's something else you guys might be interested in. So, Lil Cass says, thanks for shouting out. Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you all for coming out. Kiggy, thank you as well, man. You guys have been fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Go check out their streams, though. I think both of them are still going to be live. So pop over to Musty, pop over to Everdream, wish them condolences, congratulate them. And I will see you guys who are here for my stream later tonight. Appreciate y'all. Love you guys. And you guys have a great night. Headforge! Headforge! We're putting that on YouTube too, man. Just for you. All right, y'all. Take care. What's up with those trophies? Those are pool trophies, man. This is what I used to do before I talked for a living. All right, man. Take care. Yes, I did. I did win them.